All right, everybody. Today we're going to talk about this, a couple of issues. I just did a video, right? And it talked about employment, unemployment, stuff like that, right? It was a summary from the BLM. But out here in society today, as Americans, or people who live in America, we have this issue of should they continue the eviction moratorium? Should the government keep printing money to give unemployed people unemployment? Right? What can the owners or the renters, because see what's really coming out, and I've always said it, is you got a loan for a piece of property and you still paying some other person or business, right, to keep renting the property to somebody else, then you fucking don't own it. So how are you an owner? You're not. Because somebody can take it the fuck away from you, right? So these people have to extend rental moratoriums for evictions, because landlords who are mainly smaller people can't evict the people who may work, and I can't say who may work, well, I guess I could. Some people may work and still don't pay the rent. It's just an excuse for them not to pay. But I would think it would be slim to none that are doing that. But at the same time, these people that are renting the homes out, they're losing money because of the rental moratorium. So they should be reimbursed for all of the problems that they had because of the COVID-19 virus release into our communities. They need monetary compensation. Why? Why do landlords need monetary compensation? Because they have properties that they can't pay for currently because of the virus being released, right? Who's going to compensate them? The people in the homes can't compensate them because they're trying to do whatever the hell they can, whether it's scheming or not, to survive every day. So what's going to happen? People are saying that, I see these YouTubers and they talk about, oh, people are at home and they're just sitting on their asses, not fucking making any money. I know, not siphoning the system or being parasites. Our government just sent half of our money overseas. The majority of our money overseas, right? 1.9 trillion. The hospitals were on the bottom of the fucking list. And you want to tell me about people, right, not working. You think that hospitals would have been the fuck on the first part of the list? No, right? They weren't. Who were the first on the list? Now, let me make this clear. Now, if anybody knows me, I'm Alana Al Hassan of the Crypto Planet DeFi Group. Let me advertise myself. I've also been to jail, or I've also been to prison, let me say. Now, if you look at my history, and you can look into it, you'll see what I went to jail for, what I went to prison for. And I could clearly explain it to you today. I fought the case, and the case was pertaining to the 2008 housing collapse. And it all started with Barack Hussein Obama, who, when we talk about racially, quote unquote, white people had gained a large amount of wealth under him, and black people completely, when it comes to the poor groups as a whole, okay, they fell like behind so far, it's ridiculous. Now, I did stats on those. I don't want to re-go over that video or anything of that nature. Anything pertaining to that right now like that, but I was fighting because what I had done, I had went and took the same houses that they were scamming, that the banks were scamming people out of, fixed them up, rented them, and rented them out. Now, it wasn't a weird case, and it went however it went, which I ended up going to prison for it. Didn't do long, wasn't on parole long, but the whole point is, when I did more and more reading, and when you look more into the housing and the economic situation back then and now, the reason it's worse now is because they kept bailing out banks. They kept bailing banks out. Not because they didn't bail land. If they didn't bail the banks out, they could have bailed the landlords out and gave the landlords money instead of giving the banks money. But they're giving banks money also, which is a bitch for the people who put their money in the banks. To me, economically, it didn't make any sense. But these are the things that we're going through today. You're going through people who don't read and who fucking just talk like they fucking talkers. So you have YouTubers. I hear YouTubers talk about, oh, people staying home, they making this amount of money. But when you go through the stats, you hear about the unemployment stats. Unemployment has been down for certain groups for a long fucking time. So when something like this had hit, it was just a matter of time before stuff got worse and knocked out certain people or people. They say the middle class is pretty much gone across the board. So now what we have corporations and celebrities like Will Smith and Jay-Z buying rental properties to invest in. Right. So let me read this article to you. It was posted July 28, 2021 of this year. How many people are at risk of losing their homes in your neighborhood? Seemed like a decent little article. I'm just going to read it to you. No work, no rent, signs on the ground. After people gather outside an apartment complex with the intentions to stop the allegedly eviction of one of the tenants in Mount Rainier, MD, last year. I don't even know where MD is. Okay. Read this article real fast as I can, alongside the prospect of a new surge in coronavirus infections. Another crisis is on the horizon. A nationwide wave of evictions threatens more than 6 million families that have fallen behind on rent. The true extent of the threat has been masked by a national moratorium of evictions, but that ban will expire on Saturday, allowing landlords to start or continue eviction proceedings in most states. See the share of households. See the share of households at risk by entering your county in the search field below. Now, let me make another point. I have to remember these things. Oh, Never mind. We're just gonna. I'm in Riverside. It's Riverside, right? .3% of renting households in Riverside, California, owe back rent. So 17 in San Bernardino. Mind you all, if you don't know, these are horrible. Right? That's a lot of people, man. 16%. You see it's in the orange. Now, I'm going to continue reading this. This problem is especially acute in 250 counties where at least 1/5 of renters are behind, according to our analysis. But nationwide, the sheer scale of rent debt is alarming. An estimated $23 billion in all is outstanding, with about $3,800 per average household in arrears. So, on average, people are $3,800 late, right? So, state and local governments can prevent this rental crisis from becoming a homeless crisis with help from nearly $50 billion in federal emergency rental assistance funds. Yet, despite laudable coordination efforts and recent acceleration, the rollout is too slow. Too few renters are eligible, and the application process is too complicated. As a result, funds are reaching only a small fraction of those who need them most. Now, let me show you right here how this is bullshit. Or it's bullshit. They were just talking about having people go door to door about the fucking vaccine. Correct? Yes, correct. But they're saying that they can't go door to door to ask these motherfuckers about the rent. They saying that they don't have a list of the motherfuckers that need support for the rent. Are we hearing this right? So now we have a bunch of old people in Congress, right? Because these motherfuckers been in Congress for umpteen hundred years. They should have been retired. Sitting back, making decisions on whether something's late. Slow on disbursement of the funds. They're not slow on dispersing their paychecks, right? Or the people that they lobby for, right? So, not only a small fraction of people that needed the most. This is ridiculous. Politics, old politicians. So, for example, 158 million has been dispersed in California, while over 1 billion was applied for South Carolina is faring worse. Under 1 million has been dispersed out of 39 million requested. 1 million out of 39 million requested. Under 1 million. Damn. Distributing direct aid. This way is new to many governments in every locality has a unique housing landscape. But with the moratorium ending in just days, they have run out of time. Let me tell you something else. These people, and I'm talking specifically talking about politicians, have been in office and not doing shit this whole time. They have came up with no new ideas about anything pertaining to any civilians. You vote them in, they have came up with no fucking new ideas. And therefore the country and its municipalities are going to shit. All because you have the same old motherfuckers in Congress running this government. Prove me wrong. These old people have no ideas. We have a president now that's fucking senile, right? You hear people talk about Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, right? He has displays of Parkinson's. They're using homosexuality and race currently to distract people from what the fuck is most important. Because whether a person is homosexual, that's not important. And I can't say race baiting isn't important because everybody here is based shit on race. They're lying when they say they don't. Right? Motherfuckers say they talking about performance. No, they don't. On average, they don't. That's why race is even still an issue. Right? But with all of that aside, under 1 million, not even 1 million, has been dispersed out of 39 million requested. It's ridiculous. So let me quit ranting. Distributing direct aid this way is new to many governments, and every locality has a unique housing landscape. But with moratorium ending in a few days, in just they have run out of time. There is also a huge eligibility gap. We estimate that of the 6.2 million households in arrears, half make more money than the federal program allows and therefore aren't eligible. The result is that at-risk households in nearly every county are still catastrophically behind. You damn right they're catastrophically behind. How are you going to have a pandemic and shut down a country for a day? Right? How are you going to be in a situation like this and cut down a country for a day? Shut down a country for a day. Tell people to stay home. And then other people come out and say, hey, you all should be working. You all, because you know why they say that? Because they're mad because other motherfuckers are not working right. Like, you handle your fucking self. The U.S. government pays for a bunch of shit that people don't agree on. And they take it up their ass every fucking time, right? I could name a zillion things the U.S. government pay for that motherfuckers are sitting on their ass and complaining about, right? Half of them ain't have done any research or reading on it. Right? The data is there, but they don't read it. They just talk off the top of their head. You know why? Because they lazy and they really don't care. They really don't care. Right? So we still have these old people in these positions doing nothing. Okay, so let's move on. So there is also a huge eligibility gap. We estimate that of the 6.2 million households in arrears, half make more money than the federal program allows and therefore aren't eligible. The result is that at-risk households in nearly every county are still catastrophically behind. Our analysis was based on the Census Bureau Household Pulse survey, from which we were able to estimate every renting household's likelihood of being behind on rent. We found that in the 84 largest urban counties, including Philadelphia, St. Louis, and Dallas, renters face a collective $13 billion bill. Wow. That's a hit to a state. Also worrying are counties across the Deep South. In several counties in South Carolina and Mississippi, for example, more than 1 in 4 renters are behind. There are also millions of households at risk in small counties. In Columbia County, Georgia, north of Augusta, we estimate 1,200 households owe a collective $4.6 million. The numbers in large urban areas are staggering. Nearly 300,000 renters owe an average of $5,300 each, and nearly 300,000 renters owe average $5,300 each in Los Angeles County. I understand that Los Angeles is high for no reason. In New York City, over 400,000 renters owe a collective $2 billion. God damn. No wonder motherfuckers is leaving these places, man. Chicago, Dallas, Houston, Miami-Dade, Philadelphia, Phoenix, and San Diego all show at least 55,000 families at risk of eviction for non-payment. 55 families, I'm not being funny, 55 families is pretty low. Right. Or I say 55,000, yeah. It still would be low compared to these numbers. This crisis also underscores existing inequities in America. Those who've lost employment income in the pandemic faces 3 times greater odds that they are in arrears. According to our analysis, being black means you are approximately twice as likely to be behind on rent, even after accounting for differences in education, employment, living situations, and other factors. Hispanic and Asian families are also considerably more likely to have fallen behind than white families. About 10% of white households owe back rent. Now, let me be quiet. This is a preventable crisis. Sure is. It should be much easier for families to get access to programs that can help them pay their rent. In addition, states and localities should invest 10% of their federal funds in eviction diversion programs such as legal aid and mediation. These programs could help people who don't qualify for emergency rental assistance because their incomes are too high. State localities can extend their own emergency eviction moratorium, increase awareness of tenant rights, and allow arrears to be converted to civil debts for which a tenant can't be evicted while households are waiting for their federal rent assistance. Seeking out vulnerable renters is key. Washington State, for example, focuses on historical marginalized groups, while Houston uses the Centers for Disease Control Social Vulnerability Index to direct its outreach. Other counties should do the same using the CDC index or our own organization's tool, the COVID-19 Community Vulnerability Index. If state and local governments fail to act quickly after the moratorium is lifted, then local leaders and concerned neighbors must be prepared to help families through the eviction process. Say local families, concerned neighbors. Yeah, people are selfish. We talking about the U.S. The U.S. is pretty selfish. Easy to take over the U.S. They're pretty selfish here. It's not together. A good resource to start with is the Eviction Lab, a research program that has published a useful directory of over 600 organizations that can help those facing evictions. So don't forget, go to Eviction Lab. Now that we know where the most renters are in trouble, we have the tools we need to prevent a new kind of pandemic. Families who fell behind on rent don't have time to wait. Let's go. So this article was written in the New York Times by Seema K. Geyer. So you all look into this. Like I said, people in the U.S. are too selfish. I mean, then you have the male and female thing going on now, population control. So I mean, it's a lot going on here. So everybody, I'm just going through this stuff, examining it. It's a long ass video, but it's worth it. So, cryptocurrency could save the world. What a use case, right? I'm going to come to you all with some other videos for use cases pertaining to these situations. If old bastards wasn't in Congress, then, a lot would be going on right now. But anyway, y'all have a good day. Peace.